Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. We're live and I'm excited to be here with you today. I'm writing another book with a big deadline looming, and so I haven't been posting my movie reviews, although I have been watching films, so I'm trying to catch up. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Unbroken. Now, normally I do reviews of feature films in theaters or even on video on demand, whatever. I also do trailer reactions, but today this film is a documentary. It's a brand new documentary that is now playing in select theaters in Los Angeles and New York City, but it will be available on video on demand on February 21st, 2025. I'm excited to talk about this one because it's very similar to sort of similar to another film that is getting a lot of Oscar buzz. I'll tell you more about that here in just a second. But this is different from the 2014 feature film that's also called Unbroken, which is another true story that occurred during World War II as well, but in Japan. This one occurs in Germany. You can see my review of the Angelina Jolie feature film on my moviereviewmom.com website. I thought that movie was excellent as well. It just was devastating. I took my whole family to watch it, and afterwards we were all just like, oh, but it was really, really well done. All right, so what I'm going to do is give you an overview of this film. I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like. I'll offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, and then I'll finish up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar. But before we start into all of that, I wanted to give a little shout out plug to today's featured product, which happens to be a book that my twin sister and I wrote many years ago. It's a how-to book on how to research your family's roots and climb your family tree. You can find it on Amazon, and I've shared it before, but if you just type in my name or the name of the book, which is called Ancestry, How to Research Your Family History and Climb Your Family Tree, you'll definitely find it. All right, enough of the shameless plug. So this movie is an hour and 36 minutes long, and my overall movie review mom grade is an A. I thought it was very, very well done. So in a nutshell, the documentary was directed beautifully by Beth Lane. I was so impressed with her storytelling, her artistry, her warmth, and the unique touches that she left visually on the screen. I just thought were fantastic. The story is about her family, her actual family's history, as her mother and six aunts and uncles escaped the Nazis during World War II. Needless to say, this film is extremely personal to her. About the film, she stated, quote, "Sometimes in life, when a door opens, you have no choice but to walk through. That's what I did, and I've never looked back." End quote. So there were seven siblings who were hidden by a kind farmer for a time during all of the Nazi occupation and all of that. And then they had to survive together for about 2 years during the war, dealing with hunger, rape, bombings, loneliness, and fear. And these were children. Their father told them to always stay together. And so the hardest challenge for them was to finally decide to declare themselves as orphans and be separated from one another in order to live and move to America. Little did they know that that would allow them to survive, but that they wouldn't see each other for another 40 years, which is amazing. Already, this film has won many awards from various international film festivals, including Best Documentary Premiere and Audience Choice Best Documentary. So kudos to the team for putting this together. Quick tips for parents. I think kids are going to be extremely bored. It's adults talking, and it's adults talking about the war and the Holocaust and things like that. Because of that content, younger kids will be bored and older kids might be interested, but just be aware that that is some of the content that's discussed. There are English captions provided whenever German is spoken. That's nice. But then for younger kids, they would have to read on the screen. We see video footage of air raids, bombings, and destruction. The themes that are presented, obviously, in the film are World War II, Holocaust, family, and sacrifices. So here's a long list of things I really liked about the film. First of all, it features old footage in German and the joy and in Germany and in German, and the Jews who lived there before World War II, overlaid with modern clips of what it's like now in Germany and for the Jews who escaped to America. We learn about the evolution of Hitler's Third Reich, and what living in Germany as a Jew was like during the 1920s through the 1940s. Now, my grandmother was from Germany. I have German ancestry. And it wasn't until really I grew up that I realized my dad, my grandmother, my aunts, uncles never talked about Germany. I suspect it was partially because they were embarrassed to be from Germany, this country that had just horrified the entire globe with the wars and the Holocaust and all of that was involved. But anyway, I just think that that's interesting, that that's part of my heritage. And I didn't learn that much about it growing up, other than from the textbooks, not making that connection that I'm a quarter German. I was impressed with how the director utilized really clever frames, animation, and words on the screen to present the information and keep everything interesting. I loved it when the director approached some teenagers in Germany who were just hanging out on the street or on the curb out near one of the homes where her aunts and uncles had lived during the war for a short time. She explained that she was making a documentary, and then she asked the teenagers if such conditions ever happened again, would they be willing to put themselves in danger in order to hide and protect children in danger? The teenagers said that they would like to think that they would be able to do that and be that brave, but they were honest and said they didn't know if they really would be. It's really touching to see the director find and thank some of the people that she was able to find in Germany who helped her mother, her aunts, and her uncles during those terrible days of the Holocaust. The director put the names of each of the 7 Jewish siblings, their children, and their grandchildren written on sticky notes, creating a pedigree on the table that they could visually see and create, resulting in 72 people who wouldn't have lived or existed even without the help of those who were willing to hide and protect them during the war. What a ripple effect of kindness, and what a powerful visual representation. I love that the film was dedicated to the honor of the silent heroes who saved the strangers among us. It was made in loving memory of Lena Banda Weber, the mother of the 7 siblings who did survive, and so many millions more whose lives have been lost when they stand idly by. And that, in fact, is written on the screen. I'm just looking over here to see if anybody's joining me live. Hey, yes, hi. Byford, I always say your name wrong. Byford the Hobbit. Thank you so much. I love it when you call me Mama. And then you said, yeah, you would cave. I think, yeah, I can't even imagine. I would love to think that I would be brave and strong and true, but I obviously have never been through something like that. Thank you for your comments. So keep watching the film during the final rolling credits to hear the lyrics of a famous German song and how that's about how our thoughts are free. The song, and I had never heard this before, is called Die Gedanken sind frei, which means our thoughts are free. I've been learning German on Duolingo because I went to Germany and Austria twice just last year in 2024. And I, of course, have a terrible accent, but it was really helpful to learn words and to read signs. And I always wanted to learn German so I can understand what the Nazis were saying during World War II movies. Well, and also to honor my heritage. Anyway, I really had a hard time even thinking of anything I didn't like about this film. But I did write down that the footage taken from moving cars may be a little bit dizzy because the images flew by so quickly. We actually see the director holding up a cell phone hanging out of a car window. And so the footage just goes by really fast. And I'm like, stop, stop. That's making me dizzy. Of course, the content is heavy. It's about World War II, death, dying, sacrifice, the Holocaust, and all of that. So just know it's heavy, but it's also beautifully done and so important to continue talking about this, especially with what's going on over there in Israel and the Middle East and all of that. Now, I always write down funny lines and interesting lines simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste for the dialogue if it's a script as a feature film and whatnot. But I didn't write down any funny lines because this is a serious drama in the sense of what it represents. But I did write down a lot of interesting lines. For example, there's a narrator at the very beginning who says, there are no rational explanations for miracles, but here we are. Still, the question remains, why us? And that is a question millions asked during World War II. Why us? Why are we going through this? But also, why us? Why are we saved from all of this stuff? Now, during the film, they're interviewing these siblings who survived, and as they met each other 40 years later. And I love one of the sisters who said, you help others, you help yourself. And she was talking about how they just did what they could to survive and what they could to help anybody else in that situation. And it was so heartwarming to hear people who did help, even though they been killed, if they had been found helping you. And then during this time where they're laying out the pedigree with the sticky notes with all of the family members' names on the table, one of the grandson looks at that and he says, that's crazy. That's unbelievable. I mean, you saved 7 people and you saved 72 people's lives. That just boggled his mind. Another relative said a lot of people see things wrong and don't do nothing, which is a double negative. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we see things that are wrong happening all around us today, and most people don't do anything. And I used to get angry at the Germans in Germany during World War II. Like, why didn't they stand up for what they saw that was happening? There's a really great book that has been turned into a movie called The Book Thief that really helps you to understand the fear that they had to do anything because they were trying to protect their own families. And that helped me to understand that mindset a lot more. I'll give you some recommendations for some other films here in just a minute. All right, I'm looking to see if there are any more comments coming in. I've got another monitor over here. That's why I keep looking over there. And then I liked this line by a grandson when he said, when you're faced with adversity, who do you become? And I like that he used both questions, what and who. And you probably won't know until you actually go through it yourself. However, we can develop qualities of integrity that help us know when and where we're going to draw those lines in the sand. And then there's another sweet quote by Beth Lane, who's one of the sisters who was saved. And she said, there's so much evil in the world that is always overcome by so much goodness. And I think it is incumbent upon us to remember that the good always outweighs the evil. And I thought that was such a great grand finale as they asked her to summarize, what did she learn throughout all of this? So I loved that. Now, I want to give you recommendations for 3 films. The first one is the one that I mentioned that is getting Oscar buzz. It's called A Real Pain. Now, it is a feature film, meaning there are actors on the screen, but it is based on probably many real life situations where Jews were trying to find their ancestors' homes in Poland or Germany or, all over Europe. And this one has received Oscar buzz for acting, specifically for, well, I'll just leave it at that for the acting. There was a Golden Globe Award, and now we've got Oscar season coming up. So we'll see if the supporting best actor wins an award. Then another movie came out last year called Treasure. Again, a feature film that takes you on a journey to search your ancestry, or a daughter and I can't remember now if it was her. I think it was her father, a father and a daughter who went to Poland, if I remember correctly, I think it was Warsaw. I can't remember now. It's been a few months since I've seen it. But anyway, I also thought that that was a powerful film, and I highly recommend that. And then another one that I wanted to recommend because it's also a documentary is called From Where They Stood. And these are photographers who go into Europe. And I'm trying to remember if it was, again, Poland or Germany, but they go to the concentration camps and they are looking at the actual locations and sites where some of these famous Holocaust photos were taken by, not, I was going to say incognito, but where they hid the cameras on their person and then tried to document what they experienced living in these concentration camps. It's fascinating and also another really well done documentary. Anyway, all right, I've talked too long. I'm trying to make my reviews much shorter, and of course, I never succeed at that. But thank you so much for spending time with me. One last look. Thank you for spending time with me. I've talked too long. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now. Now I have to find the end live stream. Bye.